Sure, Shannon, whatever you say.
Fine.
So here is the rules of this panel, so you guys can be aware of. We have a microphone right here and a microphone right here. Now they will be able to ask questions. Remember, the questions work like this. You're not going to ask for a personal autograph, a recorded video, a selfie, or any personal thing like that. No hugging. Got that? No questions about politics or anything offensive. Can I get an okay? Oh, you guys, guess what? He's backstage right now. He can hear you right now. Will you please give a huge round of applause for William Shatner?
No, don't. Thank you. Don't stand. It's embarrassing. Thank you for standing. How are you all? So good to see you on a great Saturday afternoon, and I'm so pleased to be here. You know, in a way, I belong in Indianapolis. My wife's family lived north of here, a few miles, and I got married not far from here. It was a little weird. I've forgotten the name of the town. There's several towns. Lebanon? Was it Lebanon? How do you know it was Lebanon? All right, so I guess it was Lebanon, and and there were the stairs to the mayor's office, City Hall stairs. So to get the license. And then we were going to get married at my wife's farmhouse. So we went up the stairs to the City Hall, big, beautiful, really old-fashioned, really wonderful, and a square, around the City Hall filled with shops and everything. And we go up, and the lady says, sign here and sign here and sign there. And we were getting married there to avoid the intrusion of the press. I mean, it's not like weird. It's just like if a stranger, you're going to get married and a stranger comes and says, hi, I'd like to take a picture of you and I'd like to be here. Oh, what good food. You wouldn't want that. So we decided to get married just sort of near Indianapolis. So we go up the stairs, sign the thing, and the lady says, okay, here's your permit or whatever it was, and now you're married, or you get married, or whatever it is. We descend the stairs, and we walk around the block just before we're going to get back into our car, just to see a little bit of the square, whatever that town, Lebanon. And when I got around the square, my phone rang. And this guy, my agent in Los Angeles, says, I hear you're getting married. I said, just came down the stairs, and I just walked around the block. How did you know that? Oh, he says, it's all over the press. The lady who had me sign, and Elizabeth sign, sold it or something. Money, it gets in the way of everything. So the news was out, and the paparazzi went to the farmhouse where the elderly parents of my wife were kind of cooking apple pie or something. And there are these intrusive young people who are, intent to walking over you to get a picture because that means money to them. If they get a good picture of somebody vomiting, it's a lot of money. So that ruined our time. We had to chase all over the place. And the addendum to all that is we got married at my wife's sister's place, which was in another county, and apparently we weren't married because you can't have a license in one place to get married in another. So we lived in sin for about a year. It was so cool. Then we got remarried in Los Angeles. Hi, everybody. So I don't know what you want to talk about. I've been, this guy, his name is Jason Ehrlich. So Jason Ehrlich was the producer on a show I did called Better Late Than Never. Okay. Thank you. 5 people saw it. Good. And he had all kinds of bright ideas of how to provoke the 4 of us, the 5 of us, and he was wonderful. And he became a friend. And then one day, a couple of years ago, he says, the Blue Origin, the space company, Jeff Bezos, is, they're going to send a rocket up. Maybe you could get in the Jason, nobody wants to see me go up in a rocket. No, Bill. No, Jason, it's not. No, they will. And he calls Seattle, and he speaks to the people at Blue Origin, the space arm of Amazon, and they say, "Oh, sure, come on up to Seattle from Los Angeles." Jason, we have to pay for our own ticket to go up there. Talk to people who are not going to be interested, Jason. No, they will be, they will. So we go up, and we enter the lobby of whatever the lobby is called of Amazon in Seattle. And the lobby is as big as this room. No exaggeration. Big as this room. Turn around, everybody. Take a look at this room. See how big this room is? It's a big room. Everywhere you could see there was Star Trek memorabilia, including on a table 10 times this size, the actual spaceship, the spaceship, the Enterprise. Thank you very much. I was just seeing if you remember. So the original model of the Enterprise, and then we sit down along this long table, and here comes Jeff Bezos, who's the head of Amazon, and we start talking. Would you like to go? I'd like to go up. And you go, oh, yeah, it sounds like a good idea. We'll do it. And I've always been interested in, says Jeff, I've always been interested in Star Trek. I'm a Star Trek. And come on out, look at, I've got this and I got that. We're taking pictures. And we leave Seattle. And Jason says, see, I told you we're going to go. So then the COVID thing hits, and nobody's going anywhere. And then it's announced that Jeff Bezos is going to go up in space in his, they call it the tortoise, this little pod. And he's going to go up. So I said, hey, Jason, you're right. He's going to choose me to go with him. That's a great idea. He chooses his brother. And then 2 people, an elderly lady and a very young guy. And she's advertised as the oldest lady ever in space. Well, that's cool, I don't know what advantage there is to being the oldest in anything. I mean, he's the oldest person who ever died. Who cares? She's 125 years old and she died. She didn't want to die. She wanted to see 126. So now there's the oldest person going, oh. So then the second vehicle's going to go up, and they call. How would you like to go up second? So I think, like going up second into space is like being vice president or something. It's who hears of them, And I don't want to go. Jason says it'll be big. I said, Jason, nobody cares about whether I go up or not. Nobody cares. He said it'll make big news. So I go through all that training, and it was training. In fact, you see how athletic this body is? You see a rippling. If you only knew, I have rippling muscles. I never think of myself as old. Just a couple of months ago, I was doing Shark Week. Nobody. 3 people saw the other show, and nobody saw that show. So Shark Week is all about sharks, right? Or it's about a week, I don't know. I think it's about sharks. So they said, would you like to go down and see the shark? And I went, oh, God, yes. So they needed a theme. And I said, well, what about fear? Because I'm really afraid of the sharks. They said, fear. It's great. How do you fight fear? What do you do with fear? Fear, what do you take breaths? How do you deal with fear? So I got into a wetsuit, and I've done quite a bit of diving in an amateur way over the years, and so they put a tank on my back, and I'm about to jump in when I see the sea is roiling. I said, what's that? They said, well, those are the sharks. Those are some of the sharks. What we didn't tell you is that going in and coming out are the most dangerous times because they're liable to bite you. So I'm Captain Kirk. So I jump in and I get by the sharks, and I see then there's a group of Bahamians and the host, Josh Gates, who is a remarkable man himself. And I sit down on a rock and watch. And I watch 18-foot tiger sharks, 4 of them, swimming here. They're as long as from here to the pipe, okay? Maybe longer. The jaw, this table is the jaw. They open like that, 18-foot. And they could take half your body. And in fact, there was a Bahamian expert behind me with a tag. I said, why are you behind me? He says, because they're ambush predators, sharks, and they'll sneak up behind you. I went, what? And he says, I've got your back. And every so often he'd dart out and push a tiger shark to the side before it could bite the cameraman or something. And now I'm looking at that. And then I'm looking over here, and this lady over here, like where the pipes are, she was the shark whisperer. Hello, little shark. It's a little shark. She's whispering to the shark. No, she is a shark, like she'd been there 30 years dealing with the sharks. And what she's doing with the sharks, she's petting. Shut up, nice little sharky. And the sharks are all around her like puppies. Hello, I can't get any food. If you don't have any food, I'll eat you. You know what I mean? 5, 6 foot sharks are all around her. And then I'm sitting here like this. And then she comes over to me and she puts a 5-foot shark in my lap. I was frightened. They're all wearing mail suits. Chainmail, because if they get bitten, the teeth can't go in. I don't have one on. Either they thought, no, we don't have enough, or I'll use mine. He doesn't need his. Whatever the logic was, I didn't have chainmail on, which meant my hands were free, and I could stroke the shark. Unbelievable. The shark was like a puppy dog until inadvertently I put my finger in the gill, and it swam off. Sharks can be turned upside down. If you can turn a shark upside down and pet its belly, it goes into a tonic faint, in effect. It faints. It falls asleep. It's something. It goes unconscious. So people turn sharks upside down, pet the shark, and nothing's going to happen. Orcas have learned to turn great white sharks upside down. No, they stroke it, it goes to sleep. And they eat its liver. So that was fear. That was real fear. And now they say we're going to go up in space. That was real fear. I mean, it's frightening. Because what they want you to do is sit back in a chair like this, strap yourself in, and then liquid oxygen and liquid nitrogen. Did anybody know what the Hindenburg was? Hydrogen. Remember that? Oh, the humanity of it all. He's screaming, the announcer. People are running away. This giant Zeppelin is burning. You know why? Because they dropped a mooring line down, and the mooring line caught static electricity. Hydrogen was leaking way, way back there, and the whole thing burned. Hundreds of people died of burning hydrogen. And they're putting hydrogen and oxygen in my little... And I know about these things. I'm Captain Kirk. Oh, I'm telling you. So you don't want to hear about that. So, you mean you do want to hear about it? All right, so here's what I'd like to do. I want to talk to you, because I've been signing autographs, as I'm sure you may know, and people say, what's it like in space? Was it fun? No, it wasn't fun. It was terrifying. It was. But I've been telling this story, and I want to tell you the story. But I've been saying this to the press, so I've kind of got a nice song going. I got the vernacular. I got what I got to say, finally. But I don't. No, I'm talking. You sitting. And I want to tell you the story, but I'd like to get another view of what you want to know about the story, so I don't have to say the same thing as many times as I have. So what I'm going to do is, there's a gentleman there, right? No, you're looking down. Look up. We've made eye contact. What's your name? No, Bob, you got to speak into the microphone. Yeah, you have a microphone? You don't have a microphone, Bob? How is a man going to ask a question if there's no microphone? Bob, there's the microphone right there. Guys, come on down. Join Bob. Join you and the... Oh, my God.
Gumby, damn it!
I don't mean everybody join Bob. Just the people who were in the line. Bob, what do you want to know? Right now, loud voice, right into the microphone.
I want to know if you think that flying to space is a good thing for us old farts to do.
See? That gives us a whole different angle on the story. It's perfect. Okay. So, they kept saying, Bob, don't go away, because I'm going to answer the question. Unless you feel you have to sit down because you're so old.
Oh, I think I can lean
and I know about having to sit down because you're so old. Do you want to sit down?
No, I'm fine.
You've come and laid your sperm out, now you're going to swim away. Okay. So.
That's for sharks.
That's first time, but doesn't it feel good? So Bob has asked, how does it feel to be old and go into space? Well, people keep saying, oh, God, he's 90. No, you don't look 90. And I'm down with the sharks, and I ride competition horses. I've got a hit album out there right now called Bill. Holy cats, that's really stunning. So Bill is like the best thing I've ever done. And I've done it with two other guys. If there were time, I'd get into that. So Bill is out there, okay? And in Bill, in the album Bill, it's autobiographical. So Far From the Moon was the number I was going to talk to you about. Brad Paisley accompanies me in So Far From the Moon. It's a wonderful, wonderful album. So Far From the Moon is me 55 years ago. It's just after Star Trek. Star Trek's over, and I just got the divorce. The song kind of refers to it all. My show had been my marriage had been canceled, and so had my show. So because of the divorce and I don't have any money. I'm broke. I'm Captain Kirk, and I don't have any money. So I'm out doing summer theater, okay? And I didn't want to spend, didn't have the money to spend on hotels and things like that. So I had an old beat-up pickup truck, and I had a van, a kind of little camper on the back of the pickup truck. So I took my dog, and we drove cross-country to the East Coast, and now I'm doing summer stock. And now it's in July, I believe, and I'm parked in a pasture on Long Island in near New York City, and I'm looking up at the sky through the window of the little camper. I've got a little 4-inch black and white television set on my chest, and I'm looking up, and it's Armstrong going on the moon. And I'm thinking, last year I was at the Cape, and Armstrong, I think it was Armstrong, handed me a model of the spaceship of the the Enterprise. They handed me a model of the Enterprise. They said, it was very difficult to make. I said, why? It's not rocket science. It was a good joke, actually. It was you think of these things, you think they're funny, like I thought, you can't abort the mission in Texas.
No.
Somebody said, do you feel like an astronaut? I said, I feel like a half astronaut.
Yeah.
There's that kind of no laughter in Indianapolis. It rains too often here. The taxes are too high. Something's wrong with the laughter in Indianapolis. So,
No politics, Bill.
no politics. That's right. That's right. No, I've got a talk show called I Don't Understand, and the one thing I don't want to do is get into politics. So next week I'm going to talk about how do you write an opera, or what is how does the sun anyway, a variety of subjects has nothing to do with politics. So Brad Paisley sings this song, accompanies me on So Far From the Moon. That's the relationship I had with the people who were going to the moon and went on the moon. I felt so badly. So this album, Bill, is out there right now, which is my way of saying that I was afraid. I was afraid, fear, to get on this rocket because people kept saying, wow, you're 90 years old. You don't look 90. Boy, you're going to have this face. And I said, I don't feel 90. I do all these things. I was in Shark Week. I petted a shark. What 90-year-old parted a shark? And I ride horses with reiners. And I come to Indianapolis. And I just recently, my horses have been here. And then I'm walking up 11 flights of stairs up the gantry at 4,000 feet altitude. And there are all these young guys behind me going, how long is he going to take to get up the story? And about the third flight, I'm going, and I don't want that to be on camera because I'm Captain Kirk. So I am heaving about the 10th floor. I think I'm going to die. And about the 11th floor, when I finally got there, I thought, good God, I am 90. So we had practiced for, I'd gotten there, I got there the week before for 2 days in order to do some publicity. And so then I came back and I was there now for 2 days. We were going to there on a Sunday, practice Sunday and Monday, and on Tuesday we were going to fly. But the forecast of winds came in, so we had to abort in Texas. So this is great humor, folks. I mean, this is stand-up comedy, talking about my voyage into space, and I'm doing stand-up, except I'm sitting down. It's not as funny when you're sitting down, Bob, you know? Can you do stand-up sitting down? That's a great question. That's a question for I don't understand. Can you do stand-up sitting down? Okay.
Bill Cosby tried it.
What? Wait a minute. I missed that, Bob. And if you're being funny and I'm not, you're out, okay? So I suddenly realized after all this getting in and out of the chair, because they want to prepare you for zero gravity. What's it going to be like in zero gravity? Everybody signing an autograph. What's it like to be in zero gravity? How can I tell you? There are no words. 10,000 years ago, in the Indo-European language, the word horse came into the language. The archaeologists now know that about 10,000 years ago, something called a horse, a new word, was entered into the vocabulary. So they know about 10,000 years ago, the horse was domesticated. That's really good, right? How do you relate weightlessness to, I mean, before I went on, somebody said, oh, it's going to be fun. But it could be fun. It's going to be fun to be up there, fun. What are you talking about? I'm going to die. How do you describe weightlessness, Bob?
I couldn't.
You're such a smart guy. How do you describe something? There are no words. I mean, there's no reason to invent a word to describe weightlessness because we've never been weightless. How do you describe the blackness of space? How do you describe that? It's palpable. It's like black paint. It's like black mud. It isn't like, oh, look at this darkness. The only likeness I can think of it is, to give you a sense of the likeness, is if you've ever been in one of these caves and they shut the door, we're going to give you an idea what it's like, and they shut the door to the cave. It's like the opening of the cave. Have you ever done that? The darkness is like, oh my God. Darkness is like a blanket. It's like you can almost feel in your imagination. It's like it's real. There's material there. You're like, that's what that blackness looked like to me of space. Now we know from what's his name with the three names, the guy that's so wonderful. The who? What? Tyson. What? Mike
Neil
Tyson.
deGrasse Tyson.
He's so funny. No, not Mike Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson is wonderful diplomat, wonderful purveyor of space magic. You know, wow. Yeah, you got dark holes and you got exploding stars. None of that was in that blackness. None of it. It was death. That was death looking at me. That's funny, right? Look at that, death. Wasn't funny, okay? And then what was different was to take your view, your glimpse off of that overwhelming blackness, which to me suggested that's death. To come down here and see the blue and the yellow and the white and the magic of this little tiny planet. Do you know how tiny we are? We're this little. I was in Cambridge. I think I was the last. I interviewed Dr. Hawking. I interviewed Dr. Hawking. I think I may have been the one who interviewed him last. And I was waiting to go to his house, and I was sitting in the cathedral in Cambridge, and they were cleaning the organ so that there would be sounds, and I'm alone in this giant cathedral, and I'm looking up, and there's whatever that's called, the big thing that has all the sunlight and stained glass windows, and I'm looking up just at the majesty of it all, and way in a beam of sunlight, there was a mote of dust, just tiniest piece of dust that was floating in this grand, and I thought, that's what Earth must be like, floating in this abyss, little tiny dust speck that we live on. So I'm looking at death, and I'm looking at the nourishing, beautiful planet. And then, because I've been a proponent of stopping global warming, I've been like that for 50 years. I've seen it creep closer and closer. And the most beautiful things that have evolved on Earth are dying or are gone. Imagine the great things that Earth has produced that we look at with marvel, whatever it is, whether it's bacteria or lions and tigers and chimpanzees, these or orcas. These beautiful things that exist. Everything on Earth is beautiful because it exists. It's slime. Slime reaches for the sun. Slime has an instinct, an intelligence of some kind to live. I want to live and reach the sun. Trees send out electrochemical impulses. I get so moved when I think about it. I can barely get the words out. Electrochemical impulses along the mycelium lines that lie in a web that fungus use and mushrooms come out of at the right conditions. You think mushrooms come out magically? No. They're the fruit of these mycelium tendrils. The tendrils go from tree to tree, and the trees are communicating. Our brains communicate with electrochemical impulses along dendrites, like the mycelium. How far is that from? I mean, it's staggering. There's nothing that suggests anything that's anti-theoretical to any religion. It only is if you marvel at the incredibleness of God's creation. It only furthers the magnificence of God's creation, in my opinion. So, all I'm saying is, we live on a planet that is interconnected beyond anything we can imagine. Anything. In my opinion, this black matter, this black energy that apparently occupies, according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, occupies maybe 95% of the universe. The universe is expanding. I hope you know that. It's supposed to be contracting. Gravitation is a basic law of nature. It's supposed to be contracting. It's expanding. Why? Nobody knows. Oh, it's dark matter, dark energy. We don't even know what that is. I think it's part of this lattice work. We're all made of webs, and we all have a lattice work upon which our entity is hung. Our skin, our bones, everything. Is it possible that dark matter is also a lattice work that we can't see? That the whole universe is connected? We know it is. We're made of stardust. When we die, another song that if the album is really incredible, and we're hoping that the label picks up for a second album. In the second album will be a song of this connectiveness. I had a thing, I just went right out of my mind. I'll think of it in a second. We are connected both by love and family and country and hemisphere and the world. We are all connected. And in that moment, I saw death and I saw life and I saw the disappearance of life here because we're polluting it all. And I've been, as I say, whatever you call it, a person who's been suggesting we should stop. We've got to stop. Jeff Bezos' idea here is to get polluting industries up into the skies, to have a geocentric orbit and build, like we're building the space thing where people live, we build it bigger and better. Technology exists, and get all, for example, the electrical producing industry, which is such an element in pollution. Get it off of the earth and put it up there. The technology exists. The problem is the tsunami of terrible things, which we see now in storms and worse storms coming through Indianapolis and heat and in where I live in California, all the reservoirs. Remember when Atlanta said we don't have any more water a couple of years ago, that lake that supplies it with? That's what's happening in Southern California. All the reservoirs are dry. Why don't they build a tunnel for the water, say, coming from Columbia River, just before it gets brackish, before it enters the ocean, so that Oregonians are not losing any water, and the native people we're not defiling? It's perfectly simple. Instead of building a bullet train from Los Angeles to San Francisco, build a damn tunnel and tunnel. We have what I'm striving to tell you is we have the technology, we have everything, except the citizens' impulse to tell the people who are so afraid of alienating us, there's no time. There's no time. Our children, your children, I'll be dead. I'm okay. But my children and my children's children are going to suffer terribly. We're all going, people on earth are going to suffer terribly. The image I bring is, there is a theory called the Gaia Theory. It's nobody, I don't know how seriously people think of the earth as alive, except there are certain mysterious things the earth is doing, like all the currents of the water, currents of the air, are like circulatory systems. It keeps the earth cool or warm. How has the earth kept the same salinity, the saline percentage in the ocean? The ocean has the water, it evaporates, becomes clouds, goes over land, it rains, and all the salts and minerals flow off the land into the earth, into the ocean. That's been going on for millions of years. Why isn't there more salt? Why isn't the percentage of salinity in there? Why is oxygen still just 20, something like that, 20%? Anything more, we wouldn't be alive. Anything less, we wouldn't be alive. Salinity, things swimming in the ocean, if it gets too saline, they die. The magic of this planet, the magic of this planet. So it's heating up. What happens to us when our bodies, when we have a temperature and we have bugs in our body heats up and kills them. And there's a body of thought that the earth is getting hotter, it's running a fever, and at a certain temperature of fever, it'll get rid of us, the bugs, and we all die, and the earth returns in 10,000 years less into that primitive thing that everything functioned, everything that belonged functioned. There was Yellowstone Park. So they killed all the wolves, apex predators. So the four-footed animals, the hoofed animals, survived and multiplied because now there were no wolves. So more deer, more elk, more everything that was large and could walk would go down to the river and get water, and then when the wolves were around, get back up to high ground to make sure that they didn't get eaten. When the wolves disappeared, the four-footed animals just stayed by the water, took off all the brush, took off all the stuff that kept the banks of the river together, and now the banks of the river are eroding, and the insects that used to be with the branch, with the brush, and the birds that came with the insects, and the people that harvested the birds, the things that harvested the birds, all of them disappeared because the wolf was gone. When they reintroduced the wolf, the balance of nature was struck. The animals, instead of just standing around in the water, went up to the high ground. The brush had a chance to grow. The insects came back to the brush. The birds came, and nature has reappeared within a generation. That's how quickly it can repair itself if it has a chance. We have to give it a chance. Thank you. Let's applaud for ourselves so that we take action. Bob, how old are you, did you say?
Say again?
How old? You're a little hard of hearing.
Almost
too, Bob.
70.
Almost 70. You can sit down now, Bob.
Thank you.
You said there was a clock here, everybody. I don't see any clock. Everybody pointing down, right down there, right? So I have to get off. Oh, right down there. It's a teeny-weeny little clock. You're lucky my 90-year-old eyes can see it. Okay. It's what? 2:40. It's 2:40. I have 5 minutes left? Well, where did the 5 minutes go? This area, Indiana, is one of the great states. It's so filled with wonderful people who have their own way of doing and thinking, and Indiana is fertile, and it's so important to America and really to the world. Things you grow and deal with here. It's fabulous. I love this area for many reasons, not the least of which, in a way, by marriage, I come from here. So, I want to tell you that I love this area. I love the people, and I will see you from time to time. And thank you so much for coming. A pleasure. No, don't stand. It's embarrassing.